Topham Hatt had been looking for a new engine on the NWR. He thought he had found one. Thomas and Edward sat at the docks waiting for the ship to unload its cargo. The train slowly offloaded the engine. The engine was still in its works gray color and was missing many parts. Thomas soon puffed up, shunting a train together for Edward. Topham ordered an Atlantic, didn't he? He said. Not this gray-scaled, unfinished pile of scrap. Edward responded, That is no way to talk about an engine. He could still be useful. Hell, he's meant for the express after all. I mean, it's not that long of a run. He should do fine. The yard fell silent. The engine was too ashamed to respond. Eventually, Topham rolled up in his car and stepped out. He walked up to the new engine. What is this? I ordered an Atlantic, not this. That Pratt Parrow, I should tear his head off for this type of misinformation. The engine frowned. We'll still test you on the express work before we paint you up. Thomas, can you shunt a drake of coaches to platform 2 at the big station? Thomas eventually shunted those coaches for him. Eventually, the engine set off, struggling at first. As he went down the main line, he made decent time. He still wasn't keeping steam. The passengers noticed the slower than usual pace and began complaining. The engine was not in good spirits due to this. His driver said, Not to worry, they always do this when they're slightly behind schedule. They can deal with the delay since I'm trying my hardest, replied the engine. Wellsworth was up ahead. His driver applied the brakes, and they wheeshed to a stop. Refilling on coal and water and departing. As the engine approached the huge incline ahead, he began to puff as hard as he could. Suddenly, right before the top, his cylinder began to make a hiss, and then crack! Steam went everywhere. He rolled all the way to the bottom of the hill. Edward, who was shunting in the yard when he saw the entire ordeal, the engine had a look of gloom all on his face. Edward puffed over, and he coupled up to the end of his train and pulled it away into the shunting yards. Him and Thomas would double-head the train the rest of the way to Merrill. A few hours later, he sat with Topham, who'd just gotten to Wellsworth. He said, Not to worry. You won't be sent away, but we will have to address these problems. Now, do you have a name? Well, I do, sir, replied the engine. What is it? Henry, sir. It's Henry. Well, Henry, we'll see what all we can do. I have some contacts who might be able to help. A few weeks later, the Fat Controller arrives in the shed with Henry. Well, began Topham, one of my contacts at the GNR has spare parts from an old prototype that worked. Henry was confused. So what does that mean for me? Topham grinned. We might be able to fix your reliability issues with those parts. You'll be getting a new firebox, new pistons, the whole ordeal. Henry beamed. Oh, I can't wait to be able to run again. I hope these parts work. But that is a story for another time.